Today we're diving into some alarming developments in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. What we're seeing is not just a regional issue anymore. It's becoming a global concern, especially as the use of advanced Western weapons in the war has taken the situation to new heights. The question now, is this war heading toward a nuclear conflict? From the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war, the Western media has given the impression that everything is under control. The narrative was clear. The West has the upper hand, and Russia, despite its aggression, wouldn't dare escalate the war beyond Ukraine's borders. But recently something has shifted. The tone has changed and the rhetoric is getting more serious. In fact, the Western media is starting to acknowledge a very real fear. Nuclear conflict could be just around the corner. Let's take a look at what happened. Yesterday, Russia launched a powerful strike on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro using new missiles. This wasn't just any attack. These were high-tech weapons with the potential to cause massive destruction. And this strike has triggered serious concern in the West. For months now, the West had hoped that the war would remain contained and that Russia would not escalate further. But the use of long-range British Storm Shadow missiles by Ukraine to strike Russian territory far beyond Ukraine's borders signals a dramatic shift in the conflict. Ukraine now has the capability to target deep inside Russian territory, thanks to weapons like the Storm Shadow, which has a range of over 250 ATACMS. This development has changed the calculus of the war, raising the stakes for both sides. Now, let's talk about the nuclear angle. Russia has already made it clear that it will not tolerate foreign powers attacking its territory. In response to the Storm Shadow strikes, Moscow has threatened that any further escalation could lead to nuclear consequences. Here's where it gets serious. The Russian government has explicitly stated that it might use nuclear weapons in response to NATO's involvement. The question is, what happens when these two nuclear powers, Russia and the West, continue to push each other into a corner? Is this just saber-rattling, or are we witnessing the early stages of a far more dangerous scenario? In the wake of these missile strikes, the United States and NATO have stood firm in their support of Ukraine. The US has allowed Ukraine to use long-range weapons like the ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles. However, the Western alliance is now faced with a serious dilemma. They're sending advanced weaponry into a conflict that could spiral out of control, especially since Russia's response has been increasingly aggressive. What's more concerning is that the West may not have fully anticipated the consequences of their support. The Russian military is now using hypersonic and ballistic missiles, technologies that can travel at speeds up to 10 times the speed of sound. These weapons don't just represent a new level of escalation. They show that Russia is ready to push the limits in its fight with NATO. Here's the big question: how far is Putin willing to go? His recent statements suggest that he sees nuclear escalation as a possibility if the West continues to push Russia. The use of these advanced missile systems is not just a tactic, it's a message. Putin is making it clear that any further aggression on Russian soil could result in a nuclear response. At the same time, we're seeing the West try to play a dangerous game of brinkmanship. The US and NATO may think they have the upper hand, but they're dealing with a country that has nothing to lose, and that country is Russia. The war between Russia and Ukraine is no longer just about territorial disputes. It's becoming a global issue. With nuclear weapons on the table, the stakes are higher than ever. What happens next could shape the future of international relations for decades. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more updates on this escalating conflict.